Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 22, beginning from verse number 1. It's continuation of description of dynasty coming from Bharat. So, we're reading about the sons of Vitatha in the previous one. And came Mitrayu, son of Ajamida. So now he says, Sri Shuka Vacha, Mitrayuscha Divodasas Chonas Tatsuto Nirpa Sudasa Sahadevod Somuko Jantu Janmakrit. So the son of Mitrayu was Divodas and his son was Chavan. No, Divodas' son was Mitrayu. Mitrayuscha Divodasat and Chavanas Tatsuta, and son of Mitrayu was Chavan. So there are two ways of seeing this. Some commentators are saying that Mitrayu had four sons, Chavan, Sudas, Sahadev and Somaka. But then according to Vishnu Puran, it is Mitrayu who had the son as Chavan, and Chavan's son was Sudas, and Sudas' son was Sahadev, and Sahadev's son was Somaka. Tasya putra shatam tesham yavivan prishta sutta. And Somaka had 100 sons. His eldest son's name was Jantu, and the youngest was Prishat. And then Prishat's son was Drupad, the famous. And Drupad had sons Draupadi and Dhrishtadyumna. Right? So, you know the story of Draupadi and Dhrishtadyumna, how they were born. So they were born from fire. Ayonija came in Yatindramati Deepika also. Draupadi and Sita, they are known as Ayonija, means they are not born from the womb of the mother, but they came out from the, Sita came from earth, Draupadi from Yagya. So Dronacharya and Drupada, they were friends, classmates. Then later on Drupada became king and Dronacharya was a poor Brahmana. So he went to Drupada to ask for a cow, and Drupada insulted him. Pride, the big problem. So then Dronacharya decided to take revenge. He also did not sit quietly. Revenge is also human nature. So he came to his brother-in-law Kripacharya, and then he became the teacher of the Kauravas and Pandavas, and he made them very expert. Dronacharya was a very good fighter himself. He has learned from Parshuram. So then when they graduated, completed their education, then they approached him for Guru Dakshina, and he said, the only Guru Dakshina I want is that you bring King Drupada alive, capture him and bring him here. So they all went, Kauravas and Pandavas. So Duryodhana was defeated by Drupada. Then Arjuna and Bhima, they went, fought, and they captured him alive and brought him and presented to Dronacharya. So Dronacharya, when he went to beg for the cow, that time Drupada said that friendship is between equals. I am a king and you are a poor Brahmana, so how can we be friends? So friendship and marriage is good when they are of equal status. Otherwise there is problem. So now he said that, look, I divide your kingdom in two parts. One side, his kingdom was on two sides of Ganga river. He says, the southern side you take, northern side I take. Now we are equal, so let's be friends. So now Drupada, what could he do? So he came back very unhappy, but he felt very insulted. He had insulted, so he got the insult back with interest. And sometimes you borrow money from somebody. So sometimes people, your friends can give you money free of interest. But if you take from bank, or there are also private people who give loans, then they charge heavy interest, right? 10%, 15%. So since Dronacharya was not friend of Drupada anymore, he charged heavy interest for the insult. So he gave him a insult with interest. And Drupada could not handle it. But he didn't know what to do, how to take revenge with Dronacharya. First Dronacharya was taking revenge, now it is his time. So this is how the karma cycle goes. Instead of making your goal successful, instead of working for your goal, you become deviated. People do this on the bhakti path also. They forget for what they have come on this path of bhakti, and they get into these small fights, taking revenge. I will show you who I am, I will prove to you this, that. But what is the benefit of that? You don't gain anything, rather you create more trouble and you make sure that you don't get bhakti. So that's why all the Krishna says that I don't give bhakti easily. But why he does not give bhakti easily? Because people are not qualified. So even when they come to path of bhakti and they hear, they study, they understand, they don't practice because of the ahankara, the pride. So then they feel very great, as if they have conquered a kingdom. This is how ahankara feels, that I have done something great. So, but there is nothing great about it. This is not pleasing to Krishna at all. Mahaprabhu himself said, Pranadapi sunichayana taroriva sahishnuna. So great is not one who can insult others, great is one who can tolerate it and continue. That is the greatness. Insulting anybody can do. Even a person on the street can insult you. It's no big deal. But this is how ahankara makes you think that this is a big achievement, that now I can insult. So Dronacharya also thought like this, as if he has achieved something now by insulting Drupada, but what he has invited is his own death. So just as Drupada, he thought that he has done some big thing by insulting Dronacharya, but his life was spared. Dronacharya would have also ordered them that you go and kill him, then they would have killed him. But he wanted, then there is no fun. He wanted to have the fun of telling him that, look, I take half of your kingdom and now you are my friend. So then Drupada, he went back and then he contemplated what to do. So he thought that I cannot fight back, because now Dronacharya has his disciples very heroic people. And he himself is a great fighter. He also knew that he is a better fighter than Drupada. Drupada was also a good fighter, but Dronacharya is Dronacharya. But his heart was burning. And so he came up with an idea. So the idea was that I cannot fight physically, but I will fight through mantra. Mantrena kimna siddhyati. So, Sahayagya prajasrishta Puravacha prajapati anena praswadhyame se vostishta kamadhuk. Krishna says that Prajapati created progeny and also yagya, and this yagya can give you all desires. It is called kamadhuk. Kamadhuk means which supplies your desires. Supply means fulfills. So he thought I should do yagya. So he gave the charge of his kingdom to his ministers. And he went into the forest where there were many sages living ashramas. And he was searching for somebody who can do a yagya for him to produce a son who will kill Dronacharya. So he went around looking. So not everybody was qualified, and many of them were qualified, but they will not agree to that. He says, what is this? Why shall we do this? That also killing a Brahmana. So then he finally found two brothers, Yaja and Upiyaja, and he lived in their ashram. He started serving them. And of course, if king is coming, then it is also big prestige. Like if some big minister comes in the ashram, right? So he served them for some time, and then one day he spoke to the elder brother Yaja that I have one desire, if you can fulfill. So actually he spoke to the younger one, Upiyaja, that can you do this yagya for me? Because I know you are qualified to do it. So he refused. He says, what is this? Is it this for your serving? No, I will not do this. So Drupada became a little depressed, but he continued serving, because by serving you can capture the heart of the person. If you go on serving, right? Vasi kurvanti satprati satstriyam stha yatha. Right? Vishnu says that my devotees, they control me just like a chaste wife controls its good husband. So after some time, Upiyaj was very pleased, and he knew why he is serving. He says, look, I will never do this. But you know, my brother, he is a little bit greedy. So if you go to him and entice him with big dakshina, then he will be ready to do that. So greed is of course such a thing. Money is called artha. Artha is the purushartha. Artha is that by which you can achieve your artha, your purpose. So he says, how do you know that he will not refuse? He says, because I know him. He says, when we were young and studying in the Gurukula, he would eat somebody's remnants, and he was like that, Something fallen here and there, he will pick up and eat up. So then he said, okay. So then he went and he massaged Upiyaja's feet. And he says, look, I will give you like 100,000 cows if you can do this yajna for me. So he agreed. He says, really, I don't want to do it, but you are such a nice person. And you have done so much seva, so I will do it for you. So he did the yajna. So in yajna, what they do is that they put this water, and that water is empowered by mantra, and that water or fruit, and that is given to the wife. So when the yajna was complete one morning, he called the wife of Drupada that, come and I'm going to give you this havi to eat and you will have a son. So the wife was little lazy, the queen. She says, well, I'm not ready yet, I have not taken shower, I have to dress, it will take some time. First of all, a woman getting ready itself is little not so quick. And then queen on top of that. So he said, this will not work out because the muhurta, the time is passing. So he says, never mind. So he put the havi into the fire, chanting the mantra, and then from the fire came out Draupadi and Drishtadyumna. So that's how these two sons were born. Drishtadyumna, and of course there was Shikhandi before that. Shikhandi somehow is not mentioned here. Maybe I don't know why it's not mentioned. Because Drupada also had Shikhandi, who became the cause of Bhishma's death. So Drupada is the root cause. And because it is his two sons, Shikhandi and Drishtadyumna, who were instrumental in killing the two big heroes from the Kaurava side, Bhishma and Dronacharya. So they are mentioned here. So Drishtadyumna, Drishtaketu, Bharmya, Panchalakaime. And Drishtadyumna's son's name was Drishtaketu. So Drishta actually means somebody who is what you call unabashed, not modest, like what you call as shameless. So that's what Drishtadyumna was, but he was brilliant. Dyumna also means shining, effulgent. So shameless and effulgent, that's why he could kill Dronacharya. He did not feel that he is my guru, because Drishtadyumna also studied. When Drishtadyumna came out from the fire, then Drupada brought him to Dronacharya, that can you please teach him. So this is what Duryodhana is saying in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, Pasyayetam Panduputranam Acharyam Mahtim Chamam. Right? So he says, Vyudham Drupadaputrena Tav Shishyena Dhimata. So he is a Drupadaputra, number one. He is son of Drupada, who is your arch enemy, and he is your disciple, and he is intelligent. So now you decide. So this is that same. So Drishtadyumna was made as the army chief by the Pandavas. Bhishma was from the other side, and from this side was Drishtadyumna. So this is that Drishtadyumna who is described here. So they are the one who came in the dynasty of Bharmya, who was mentioned earlier, and they are known as Panchalakas. Remember that Bharmya had 5 sons, and they said that they are all qualified to rule, and they became known as Panchalas. So Dharmyasya praha putra me panchanam rakshanahi vishanam alamimeti panchala sangita. That these my 5 sets, Mudgal, Yavinar, Brihideshu, Kampilya and Sanjay, they are all qualified and they are known as Panchala. So Alam means capable, and Pancha means 5, so therefore it became Panchala. Draupadi is sometimes called as Panchali. So this is stated again here, that Panchalaka mein. So yo Ajamidho, this was in the line of Ajamidha. Yo Ajamidho suto hyanya riksha samvarna stata. So then the other sons of Ajamidha was known as Riksha, and the Riksha's son's name was Samvarna. And Taptyam Surya Kanyayam Kurukshetra Patihi Kuru Parikshit Sudhanur Jannu Nishadhasva Kuruha Sutta. And this is another interesting, that this Samvarna, he was married to the daughter of Sun, whose name was Tapati. So Sun has 2 daughters. One is Yamuna, who was married to Krishna. Another is Tapati. So she is married to Samvarna. The story of that also in Mahabharata. How one day Samvarna, he went for hunting, and Tapati was doing tapasya in the forest, and he saw her and fell in love, but then she disappeared. So then later on, with the help of his guru Vasishtha, he got her. He has to do tapasya to get her. And Samvarna and Tapati, they were born, married. And from there the son was born as Kuru. So Kuru, on which you have Kurukshetra, and on whose name you have Kauravas. So they are all coming in the dynasty of Ajamidha. Sometimes Dhritarashtra is called Ajamidha in Mahabharata, because he comes in the dynasty of Ajamidha. So this is the famous Kuru. There is a story about him also, I forget. Because Kurukshetra is after his name and became pious. I think he was trying to plow the land or something. Some story I forget. There's some story about him in Mahabharata. So Parikshit, Sudhanu, Jannu, Nishadhascha, Kuru Sutta. He had 4 sons, Kuru. One's name was Parikshit, then Sudhanu, Jannu, and Nishadha. And Suhotra Bhut Sudhanu Sha Chavno ath tatah kriti vasu tasya upricharo brihadratha mukhastata. And then from Sudhanu was born Suhotra, right? And Suhotra gave birth to Chavan, and from Chavan came Kriti, and from Kriti came Uparichar Vasu. And Uparichar Vasu had many sons, beginning with Brihadratha. So Uparichar Vasu was also a famous king. This Satyavati, who was married to Shantanu, was daughter of Uparichar. Although she is known as the daughter of the fisherman, but it is actually she was born from the semen of Uparichar Vasu, which had fallen into Yamuna river and was swallowed by a fish, and then fish became pregnant, and fish was caught by the fisherman, and when he cut it open, a beautiful girl came out. So that girl was Satyavati, and Satyavati used to have the smell of a fish because she was born from fish, but she was very beautiful. So she used to ferry people on the boat, and one day Parashara wanted to cross Yamuna river. So she took him, the father said, you take him. Then on the halfway he said, I want to produce a son in you. And he says, how is this possible? I am not married. He says, don't worry, you will not lose your chastity. Parashara is a very great astrologer. Those of you who know Indian astrology, then you study Hora Shastra of Parashara. It is the most authentic one. So he knew that if he produces a child now, then some great person will be born. That's how Vyasa was born. And that's why Vyasa is called Dvapayana, because there was a small island in between. That's where he was born. And then Parashara blessed Satyavati that from now you will not have the fish smell. Now you will have a fragrant smell. So then she used to smell very beautiful for miles. That's how Shantanu was attracted, because one day he went and he got this very nice smell of the perfume, and he followed. And there he saw that there was this girl on the boat. So that's how Shantanu fell in love with Satyavati, and then this whole story of Bhishma came. So this, she although was known as the daughter of the fisherman, but originally she was daughter of this Uparichar Vasu. And Uparichar is called Uparichar because he had a plane, and therefore he used to fly in that. Uparichar means one who goes up in the air, because he was a friend of Indra. And then there is another story of Uparichar. So he's also. So this is that Uparichar Vasu. So tasya Uparicharo Brihadratha Mukhastata, and he had many sons headed by Brihadratha. Then the sons are mentioned here as Kushamba, Matsya, Pratyagra, Chedipasya, Chedipa. Brihadrathat Kushagra Bhut Rishabhastasya Tatsata. So Uparichar Vasu's son's name was Kushamba and Matsya, Pratyagra and Chedipa. And they all were the rulers of Chedi, in which Shishupal was born. Shishupal is also called Chediraj. So they are related with Krishna. And Brihadratha Kushagra Bhut. From Brihadratha was born Kushagra and Rishabhastasya. And from Kushagra was born Rishabha. Jagya Sathitopatyam Pushpavans Tatasuto Jahu Anyasyam Chapi Bharyayam Shakle Dve Brihadrathat. So Brihadratha's Kushagra, Rishabh, and then Satyahit. Satyahit's son's name was Punyavan, and Punyavan's son's name was Jahu. Then this Brihadratha had another wife, and she gave birth to a baby, but that baby was born in two parts. Sometimes the twins are born, and this is unusual that the baby was born in two separate parts. Left part and right part both were developed, but they were independent of each other. So what to do with them? So the king threw them away into the forest. And there in the forest, this lady Jara was living. So she got those two parts and joined them, and that's how Jarasandha was born. And that is the only way he could be killed, by tearing him apart. So that's what Bhima did. When Bhima, Krishna and Arjuna went to fight with Jarasandha, and Bhima had wrestling match 27 days. Then on 27th day, Krishna told him the trick, because Bhima said, all my bones are aching. How long we are going to wrestle like this? He says, this Jarasandha has got his people, they give him massage at night, and I am nobody here. My body is aching, because the whole day they will wrestle. They will have a break and then again start wrestling. Freestyle, kicking left, right. And it went on and on and on. So then Krishna says that this guy cannot be defeated like this. You have to just tear him apart and throw them away, otherwise they will come and join again, like North Pole and South Pole. They will become attracted. So that is what is being described. Anyasyam chapi bharyayam shakle dve brihad rathat. Shakal means part. Ante matra bahir utsrishte jarya cha visandite. So then the mother told the dasis that go and throw it away somewhere in the forest. What is the use of this baby? So then this Jara, she picked them up and she said, Jiva Jiva iti kiridantya. She had some power. She joined them together and says, come to life, come to life. And the baby came to life. And then she brought it back and gave it to the king. So he became a very powerful king, and his two daughters were married to whom? His two daughters were married to Kamsa. That's why Jarasandha was against Krishna, because Krishna killed Kamsa. Then the daughters became widow. So that's why Jarasandha was attacking Krishna again and again with his army. So he came 17 times. 18th times Krishna ran away. Every time Krishna will come and kill all his army and send him back. Then he will gather army, come back again. Krishna would not kill him, because he wanted to kill all his followers. So he will come back and Krishna will liberate all of them and will send him back. He says, bring more, I want to liberate more people. So that's what he was doing. Then finally he says, okay, I have liberated enough now. And then he ran away to Dwarka. So that is Jarasandha. Jarasandha's son's name was Sahadeva. So Sahadeva is also mentioned in Mahabharata because he fought from the side of the Pandavas. After they killed Jarasandha, and Bhima, Arjuna and Krishna went and they killed, then they installed Sahadeva as the king in his place, and Sahadeva was devoted to Krishna. So he came to help them and fought from the side of the Pandavas. Of course, he was killed because everybody was killed. But it's amazing that father is killed by Bhima and the son is coming to help. So just like Lord Ramachandra killed Bali and his son Angada was assisting Ram, right? So like that, Krishna got Jarasandha killed, and then son is assisting the Pandavas. So this is that Sahadeva. This is not Sahadeva, one of the Sahadeva in the Pandavas.
When the Draupadi was in the assembly, somebody stood up against the whole people who were not reacting about where they were stripping her. And this was Sahadeva?
No, that was not Sahadeva. That was one of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
The
Forget
only
his
one
name.
who fought.
Yeah, I forget his name. No, Sahadeva. It was not Sahadeva. So there is hardly any commentary on this. There's nothing to read. Dvavinse abhut divo dasavanse Draupadi yatha bhavat vrikshvanse jarasandha Arjun Duryodhanadaya. In this 22nd chapter, there is a description of the dynasty coming from Devadas and how the sons of Drupada was born, and in the dynasty of Riksha, Jarasandha, and then the birth of Arjuna, Duryodhana, etc. is also described. And the rest of the comment is not of much importance, just the names. So Jarasandha's son's name was Sahadev, and Sahadev's son's name was Somapi, and Somapi's son was Shrutasrava. And the eldest son of Kuru, whose name was Parikshit, he did not have any children. So Parikshit anapatyo bhut suratho naam janavaha tato vidurathastasmat sarvbhaumas tato bhavat jasenastaniyo radhika radhiko ato yuto hi abhut. And Surat's son's name was Viduratha. Viduratha's son's name was Sarvbhauma. Sarvbhauma's son's name was Jasena, and Jasena's son's name was Radhika, and Radhika's son's name was Ayuta. And then Tatascha Krodhanas Tasmad Deva Tithi Ramusya cha Rishyastasya Dilipo Bhut Pratipastasya cha Atmaja. So then Ayut's son's name was Krodhana, and Krodhana's son's name was Devatithi, and Devatithi's son's name was Rishya, and Rishya's son was Dilip, and Dilip's son was Pratip. So now Pratip is the son of Shantanu, father of Shantanu. So Devapi Shantanustasya Bahalika iti Chatmaja Pitri Rajyam Parityajya Devapistu Vanam Gata. So Pratip had three sons, Devapi, Shantanu, Bahalik, and this Devapi, I think I gave the wrong name. It is Devapi who is still living in the Himalaya, not Pratip. I think I said the father's name. It is Santanu's elder brother. I think I mixed up between Devapi and Prateep yesterday. So it is Devapi who lives there, not Prateep. So Devapi was not interested in kingdom because by law he should be the king, being the eldest. But he left and he went to forest. So Shantanu became the king. And Bahalik is also mentioned in Mahabharata. His son's name was Bhurishrava. And this whole problem at the Prabhas Kshetra, that started because of Bhurishrava's killing. So Bhurishrava was fighting from the side of the Kauravas. Because Bahalik, his father, is Shantanu's brother. So Pitri Rajyam Paritajya Devapistu Vanam Gata. He went to forest because he was not keen in Rajya. Now, because of that some problem came. This is also good to know. Swabhavat Shantanu Raja Prang Mahabhisha Sangita Yam Yam Karabhyam Sprishati Jirna Yavanam Etisa. So because Devapi left for the forest, so Shantanu, the younger brother, he became the king. And this Shantanu was Mahabhish in his previous life. So these are the all complicated stories. Mahabhish is the one who was in the assembly of Brahma. And in the assembly of Brahma, King Mahabhish was sitting, and then there Ganga Devi came. And when Ganga came, there was a breeze, and her sari got lifted, and Mahabhish, everybody closed their eyes. But Mahabhish kept looking. I don't know how Brahma found out that. How did Brahma found out that? That means he closed some eyes and some he kept open. Right? He had 4 hands. So the front eyes he closed, thinking so that anyone looks, they will see his own. But from the side ones he was seeing. So he came to know that Mahabhish did not close his eyes. So then he got upset. And he said, "You are not qualified to be in my assembly because you are looking at Ganga with little bit attachment. So you have to go and take birth on earth." So that's why Mahabhisha came and became Shantanu. And poor Ganga also has to suffer for no offense of her. So Ganga has to also come, and she is the one who gave birth. She became wife of Shantanu. She was the first wife before he married Satyavati. And Bhishma was born from her. But before Bhishma, 7 children were born, and they were all thrown into the river Ganga because they were Ashtavasus. Another story, stealing the cows. Cow stealing was also interesting pastime before. In India, there is a specific clan here, at least in Haryana, UP. They are called Gujar. I don't know if you have them in Bihar. You have Gujar there? So in this area of Haryana and UP, Western UP area, there is a caste called Gujar. And these Gujars, they are something like Yadavas actually. Maybe Gujarat is coming from them. So they keep cows, animals. But they are very good in stealing animals. I remember this in my childhood. There always some theft. They will come, and in those days there was nothing. That it's not that they come with some truck or anything. They will come at night and quietly open the bulls, because near our village there are some hilly area, and they had places where they will hide it. And then you keep on searching, because once somebody takes at night, and then next day, where do you search them? You go to this village, that village, ask, did my cow come here, my bull is stolen, and you don't find them. So they keep it and then take to another village, and sell it somewhere. So they were very good in stealing. It was known that Gujar, they are cow chor. They had, क्या चीज? Yes. So this Vasus also, maybe they are forefathers of these Gujars. They are also stealing the cows of Vasishtha. So they were cursed to take birth on earth. And then they met Ganga. So that's why Ganga agreed. They are the one who were born from Shantanu. Except Bhishma is the one who has to stay longer. Bhishma is also one of the Vasus, because he is the one who actually stole. The others were only just in cahoot with him. So this is the Shantanu who is described. But this Shantanu, why is he called Shantanu? Because he had a special power. If he was today, he will become very famous and have a lot of money. So he says, Yam yam karabhyam sprishati jirnam yavanam eti sa. He had this power that anybody, old person he touches, the old person becomes young. This was his power. So you can imagine if he came today? He will be busy. There will be big queue of people. He will have no time. He can continually give darshan, touching people. शांति मापनोति चैवग्र्याम कर्मणा तेन शांतनी समादादश तद्राज्येन ववर्ष यदा विभु. So he is also called Shantanu because he not only will make them young, but also they will become very peaceful. Shanti. And because of this power, he was known as Shantanu. So what happened that once for 12 years there was no rain in his kingdom. And this is also interesting that many times you hear this, that some kingdom has famine for 12 years. So this happened. And the reason for this was that he married before his brother was married. So this is not allowed. Now people don't care for this, but the system is that first the elder brother has to marry, and then only the younger brother can marry. In India it is still a custom, now I don't know, but it is followed like that. The younger brother cannot marry if the elder is not married. So sometimes the elder brother is not interested, the younger is cursing him. Why he is not marrying? Because he gets blocked. So if the younger brother marries before the elder brother, then it is called parivetta. There is a term for this in Manusmriti. And that is not considered as religious. So that is what is described. So द्वादशतद्राज्येन वर्ष यदा विभु शांतनु ब्राह्मणैरुक्तः परिवेत्तायम् अग्रभुक् राज्यम देहाग्रजायासु पुरा राष्ट्र विवृद्धे. He says that you are parivetta. The Brahmanas told. He says the reason why there is no rain is because you are parivetta. And parivetta means agrabhuk. Agrabhuk literally means to eat before. If in the house there are senior people, then you serve them first and then you eat. So it is something like this, that he is not married and you married, and he is not king and you are king. So therefore the devas are not happy. And devas day and night have something to do with the 12 years. So therefore 12 years no rain. So Rajyam Deha Grajaya Ashu Pura Rashtra Vividhi. So therefore if you want prosperity in your kingdom, then you should give your kingdom to your elder brother. Otherwise everybody will suffer. So this is the principle of karma, that it is not that only the individual karma is there, there is also karma related with other people. If you live in one family, then your karma also gets mixed up. If you are part of a community, then you share karma. If you are a leader, then you are also involved in the karma of your subjects, and the subjects are involved in the karma of the leader. So the king becomes influenced by the karma of the people whom he is ruling, and people are also influenced. That's why when Krishna was in Dwarka, this Brahmana came and threw the dead body at the gate of Krishna's palace, that look, my son is dead, because you people are not following dharma. And same happened with Lord Ramachandra, when this Shudraka was doing tapasya. So Brahmana's son died. So generally the principle is that the father does not die in the presence of the son, and if that happens, unless it is a war or something, then that means there is something impious which has happened. So therefore he says that these people are suffering, there is no rain, because you have married before your brother, and this is irreligious. Manu does not accept this. So you better give your kingdom back to him. And that is the only solution. So he said, okay. So he did not say, no, how can I give my kingdom? So if he was a modern politician, he will make some arrangement like this or say, I do not care. So we will stop here, because now he is going to describe what happened. Because ultimately he kept the kingdom with him. Yes.
Could Shantanu also make himself young and peaceful, or only other people?
That's a good question. If his hand was touching him, then he will also become young. Maybe he didn't want it. Can give the mic now.
I didn't really understood why this, if the elder brother is not married yet and the younger is already married, and the whole this chain of karma is coming.
What is there to understand in it?
No, is what is the implication? The elder brother marries after, what will happen?
What happens? So this is a principle of dharma, that you don't do something before the elder people.
Okay. Out of respect for them.
Yeah. Otherwise it will become like modern times now. There is nothing, no rule. Anybody can marry anytime, anybody. Marry, no marry. Marry twice, thrice. Doesn't matter. So dharma is based on certain principles, certain discipline. And it has a purpose to regulate. So now we don't like regulation. We want to be free bird. So then it looks like what is wrong with it. So this dharma means that there is regulation. Otherwise mind cannot be controlled. Mind does not like to be controlled. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balvadradham. So to regulate this mind, certain principles have been made. So now when this principle is there, that elder has to get married first, then the next one. So the junior one already knows that I should not plan for marriage unless he gets married. So therefore it is not in his mind. But if this principle is not there, as it is the case now in the modern society, does anybody care? So they are already having girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, There is no restriction. So therefore there is no regulation. So you may say, well, what is wrong with it? The wrong is that what you see now. So then there is no good progeny, there is no respect, there is no family. Ultimately there is only suffering. No unity, no cooperation. Everybody is just an individual. In the name of independence, we think this is independent. We think this is freedom. Actually, this is interesting that how people misunderstand what it means freedom. People do not know the meaning of simple words like freedom or independence. So in the name of freedom, people are doing frivolous things. And they have to pay the price for that, because for every action there is some result which has to come. You cannot avoid that. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You can act, but don't think that the result is in your control. The result will come. Only thing is that it comes little late. So you think that, no, I can do anything I like, and what is there, what is karma, you can do, but the result will also come. And then you will not know, why am I suffering? Why this is happening to me? I never did anything wrong. That's not true. There's somebody who is keeping track. And these days there are many programs, apps to track. Even to track COVID. So there is a tracking program which tracks your actions, and at suitable time you get the result. So those who are intelligent, they want to regulate their actions, because after all it is going to come to me. And those who are not intelligent, they think I am free. That's not freedom. That what is the value of such freedom which will only bring suffering to you? It's a bondage. If it is making you suffer later on, it's not free. It's like you can steal and then police catches you and put you in the prison. Was that freedom? So it's something like that. If you steal and you get caught and you are punished for that, it's exactly like that. You do the karma. Stealing you can do. You are free. So you're responsible for your action. You're free to act, but you have to be responsible also for your action. So we only look at the freedom part and we don't think at the responsibility part. So that's why these days people are many times these preachers and they say you should feel responsible for your action. You should take responsibility for your actions, right? You have heard this statement? Very commonly they say. This is nothing new. This is what dharma means. Dharma means being responsible for your action. Now this is being taught as if this is something very, esoteric. And it's like a big principle to take responsibility, to feel. Because we have been spoiled to think you are free. No, it's not like that. Nobody is free. And your karma is entangled with others. And then you entangle yourself more till it becomes a complete net. You don't even know which way to come out of it. So then you are actually guided by those past actions which you misinterpret as freedom. You are forced to act. As Krishna says, Mithya esa vyavashayaste prakritistvam niyokshasi. He says your vyavashaya, your thinking, your idea that you can act like this, like that. He says this is mithya, this is false. He says your prakriti means acquired nature, which means your past karma. It will force you to act. So Arjuna is saying, I will not fight. Krishna says, okay, try it. How long you will not fight? The Prakriti will force you to fight.
Just wondering. This is a description of the Moon Dynasty. This is all a description of the Moon Dynasty. And there was the sun involved. Wasn't, if I understood that correctly, you mentioned the sun has two daughters, Yamuna and Tapati? And then from Tapati came Kuru. So how is it that Kuru comes?
Because dynasty is according to the father. It's like Buddha was born from the moon.
So, you defined what freedom not is, or what is not freedom, and could you also define what is freedom? Is it that I'm free when I...
There is no freedom. That's what I'm saying. There is no freedom. But you have a choice, limited choice, that you can follow dharma or you can follow adharma. And once you choose, then you lose that freedom. It's a very complicated issue. It's not that you're starting with a blank slate. So when we think I'm free to do this, you're assuming that I don't have baggage coming from my past life. So really speaking, the only freedom you have is that you can take to bhakti or not take to bhakti. Simple. Any other freedom, even if it has no meaning. It's just a complicated network of karma.
Babaji, this Prakriti and Pravriti, are they interrelated? Because the Prakriti impels us to act, and Prakriti is also like what we are impelled to act.
Pravritti means action, and Prakriti what makes you act.
Okay.
All right.
Papaji, I have a question. But if we are made to pay the price
Yes.
for our parents' action, is it like karma? Then
Yes.
it's karma?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Because sometimes parents make the choices for us, yes, and as children we have to like pay for it. So that's my question.
Yeah, so you get involved in their karma and they are involved in your karma. Are you not involved in the karma of your son?
Oh yes, very much.
So that's how it goes.
Yes, he told me because we were talking about his choice of the school, and I asked him, "What would you like me to do?" And he said, "Leave me alone." Well, I said, "As a mother, it's not possible."
See, he's making you free and you don't want freedom.
No, I don't want freedom. If I want freedom, I will never become a mother. If you are a mother, you're never free. Okay,
So-
thank you, Babaji.
Very well.